Hello, grade 9 students and mabuhay! How are you feeling today? Are you excited to learn a new lesson once again? I am Teacher Ellah, your teacher for today's lesson, Mhie 9. Welcome to Module 4, Effects of Environmental Issues. The possible effects of environmental issues are widely recognized as threat to human health. When the health of the environment is undoubtedly poor, there is a larger rate of morbidity and mortality for people whose health status is already at risk. Therefore, environmental health must address the societal and environmental factors that increase the likelihood of exposure and disease. This module will let you learn to recognize environmental issues and examine its harmful effects to human health. You will slowly observe how properties and conditions of impaired or contaminated environments be a threat to you and your family's health. At the end of this module, you should be able to analyze the effects of environmental issues on people's health. To achieve the objectives cited above, you are to do the following. Number 1. Take your time reading, listening, and watching the lessons carefully. Number 2. Follow the directions or instructions in the activities and exercises diligently. And lastly, answer all the given tests and exercises. Before we will proceed to our lesson proper, we will check first your prior knowledge for our lesson. You will answer the pre-assessment activity. For this activity, kindly please refer to your learning activity sheet in What I Know. Listen carefully as I read the direction. You will answer a multiple type of test which you need to choose the answer and write the letter on the space provided. Number 1. A loss of biodiversity may bring food insecurity to the community that results to poor oral health and poor growth of individual because letter A. Harmful carcinogens affects health. Letter B. Biodiversity provides genetic resources for all crops, livestock, and marine species harvested for food. Letter C. Hazardous waste leach to the ground soil. And letter D. Life-threatening diseases. Number 2. Extreme weather events and increase of temperature are both effects of blank that reduce the availability of safe food and drinking water in times of typhoon and flash floods. Letter A. Water pollution. Letter B. Soil contamination. And letter C. Climate change. Letter D. Moisture production. Number 3. Improper waste disposal includes reservoir for insect-carrying diseases. Which of the following is not true? Letter A. The disease meant is also known as a vector-borne disease. Letter B. Examples of disease carried by the insects are dengue and leptospirosis. Letter C. It does not include mosquitoes and rats. And letter D. The diseases they bring are life-threatening. Number 4. Signs and symptoms of coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 as environmental hazards are shortness of breath or difficulty of breathing, muscle aches, fever, and other signs like letter A. Loss of taste or smell, headache, and chest pain. Letter B. Mumps, sore eyes, and fever. Letter C. Skin disease, vomiting, and sore throat. And letter D, nosebleed and cough. Number 5, surface and groundwater quality concerns apply to both drinking water and recreational waters. Letter A, true. Letter B, false. Letter C, maybe. And letter D, not at all. In the previous lesson, has not yet learned about the different major issues of the environment in our country. These are the climate change, water, air and noise pollution, poor solid waste disposal, declined biodiversity, and environmental hazards. Modules will give you a continual education on human health, disparities as a result from environmental dreadful conditions caused by human activities. Now, let us proceed to your next activity. I want you to listen carefully as I read the directions and kindly please refer to your learning activity sheet. Activity 1. Jeopardy activity. Identify each of the following term or terms inside the objects by associating them as the correct human health effects from the following statements below. Shade each object with the color indicated before the chosen statement. You can see heat stroke, diarrhea, leptospirosis, airborne allergens, anxiety, stress, anxiety, depression, and COVID-19. Number 1. Red, triggered by wildfire smoke. Number 2. Pink, triggered by extreme heat of climate change. Number 3. Blue, a vector-borne disease carried by rats. Number 4. Yellow, caused by toxic liquid chemicals that contaminate drinking and recreational water. Number 5. Green, declined biodiversity will be no longer adequate to meet social needs. Indirectly changes in ecosystems, services affect livelihoods, income, local migration, limit discovery of potential treatments for many diseases and health problems. Number 6. Orange, an infectious disease caused by coronavirus, which pushes the government on declaring lockdowns to several cities. We are now to proceed in our lesson proper. Are you ready to learn new things about health? Number 1. Poor solid waste disposal. Letter A. Soil contamination. Waste that end up in landfills excrete hazardous chemicals that leak into the soil, producing harmful carcinogen affecting the plant growth, which unhealthy to humans and animals feeding on those animals. Carcinogens affects our reproductive systems, causes liver dysfunction and weight loss. Improper disposal of waste can greatly affect the health of the population living nearby the polluted area or landfills. Workers on waste disposal and landfill facilities are at greater risk. Cause skin irritations, blood infections, respiratory problems, growth problems, and even reproductive issues. Letter B. Reservoir for insect carrying disease or vector-borne disease. Mosquitoes and rats are known to live and breed in sewage areas, and both are known to carry life-threatening diseases. Mosquitoes breed in cans and tires that collect water, carry diseases such as malaria and dengue. Rats find food and shelter in landfills and sewage, which results to diseases such as leptospirosis and salmonellosis. Letter C, moisture production. From waste is a breeding ground for mold. It's the bacteria that has the ability to spread and grow given the appropriate conditions such as moisture production from appliances and food scraps. Inhaling mold fragments or spores can inflame airways, causing nasal congestion, wheezing, chest tightness, and coughing and throat irritation. Can reduce lung function and cause chronic health problems such as asthma. Number 2, water pollution. Water pollution or water contamination will pollute drinking water and natural recreational waters on seas and rivers. Hazardous waste in the environment leach in the ground and ultimately into the groundwater. Toxic liquid chemicals from waste can also seep into water streams and bodies of water. Letter C, gastrointestinal illness like diarrhea effects on the body's nervous system and respiratory systems, or liver and kidney damage. Number 3, climate change. And extreme weather events like typhoons or flash floods, reducing the availability of safe food and drinking water, damaging roads and bridges, disrupting access to hospital and pharmacies, interrupting communication, utility, and healthcare services, contributing to carbon monoxide poisoning from improper use of portable electric generators during and after storms, increasing stomach and intestinal illness, creating or worsening mental health impacts such as depression and post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Increase of temperature, extreme heat, which can result to heat stroke and dehydration, as well as cardiovascular, respiratory, and cerebrovascular disease. Shifting weather patterns can worsen air quality, which lead to asthma attacks and other respiratory and cardiovascular health effects. Wildfires create smoke and other unhealthy air pollutants and rise in carbon dioxide levels and warmer temperatures, airborne allergens such as ragweed pollen. Number 4, declined biodiversity. Ecosystems services will be no longer adequate to meet social needs. Indirectly, changes in ecosystem services affect livelihoods, income, and local migration, limit discovery of potential treatments for many diseases and health problems. This results to low quality of life, malnutrition, stress, anxiety, depression, and even death. Loss of biodiversity affects world food production, as it ensures the sustainable productivity of soils and provides the genetic resources for all crops, livestock, and marine species harvested for food. Access to a sufficiency of a nutritious variety of food is delayed. Type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, stroke, obesity, deficits in brain function. Food insecurity results to poor oral health, poor growth. Example, low birth weight and short stature. Asthma developmental risk, learning disabilities, poor academic outcomes, and behavioral and emotional problems. Number 5, environmental hazards. According to Mayo Clinic webpage, the virus is now known as the Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2. The disease it causes is called Coronavirus Disease 2019 or the COVID-19. In March 2020, the World Health Organization or WHO declared the COVID-19 outbreak a pandemic. Common signs and symptoms can include fever, cough, and tiredness. Other symptoms can include shortness of breath or difficulty of breathing, muscle aches, chills, sore throat, loss of taste and smell, headache, and chest pain. Although most people with COVID-19 have mild to moderate symptoms, the disease can cause severe medical complications and lead to death in some people. Older adults or people with existing chronic medical conditions are at greater risk of becoming seriously ill with COVID-19. Now, in this part, you will need to have a closer look and take more time in analyzing. Kindly please refer to your learning activity sheet. Activity 2. More effects. Provide the effects of the following environmental issues to human health and community. Number 1. Climate change. Number 2. Water pollution. Number 3. Air pollution. Number 4. Noise pollution. Number 5. Declining biodiversity. Number 6. Environmental hazards. Now you are given an example. Environmental issues. Example, poor solid waste disposal. Its effects to the human health. Skin irritations, blood infections, respiratory problems, growth problems, and even reproductive issues. Its effect to the community. Waste that end up in landfills excrete hazardous chemicals that leak into the soil, producing harmful carcinogens affecting plant growth, which is unhealthy to humans and animals feeding on those plants. Now let's do a recap of what you have learned in our lesson this morning. Kindly please refer to your learning activity sheets. Activity 3, the word bubble. Below is a diagram that will illustrate what causes the environmental degradation and its effects to human health. The arrows will tell us the sequence or flow to which our government has acted upon to bring solutions and achieve some certain goals. Follow the directions below. Number 1. Find the correct words or word or phrases. You can write inside a small bubbles while trying to associate them to the words the near bigger bubbles. Choose from the table below. Number 2. When all small bubbles are filled, there should be 3 phrases left from the table. Write each of them inside the 3 white bubbles and the central part of the diagram. Number 3. The words or phrases will reveal to you the goals of the government. The goals of the government are, now we have processing questions. Number 1, do you think the goals of the government could be realized? How? Number 2, is there a relevance of human activities in relation to their health and quality of life? Why? Explain your answer. Number 3, how can you maintain a healthy environment as an individual belonging to a certain community or barangay? Cite at least 5 valuable activities you can do. Now, we will proceed to your performance task and kindly please revert to your learning activity sheets. Activity 4, Postcard. Using an illustration board, make a postcard in an 8x5 size. Write the severity of COVID-19 symptoms to remind yourself and family of the health effects of the said biohazard. At the back, list the things to do and draw an object which represents the things we needed to wear outside in order to prevent the infectious disease. Postcard will be passed to the teacher. Below is an example. Now, let us answer your assessment. Are you ready? Then let's keep going. For this activity, kindly please refer to your learning activity sheets for your post-test. Multiple choice. Choose the best answer. Write the letter on the space provided. Number 1. Signs and symptoms of coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 as environmental hazards are shortness of breath or difficulty of breathing, muscle aches, fever, and other signs like letter A, loss of taste or smell, headache and chest pain. Letter B, mumps, sore eyes and fever. Letter C, skin disease, vomiting and sore throat. And letter D, nosebleed and cough. Number 2, extreme weather events and increase of temperature are both effects of blank that reduce the availability of safe food and drinking water in times of typhoon and flash floods. Letter A, water pollution. Letter B, soil contamination. Letter C, climate change. And letter D, moisture production. Number 3, a loss of biodiversity may bring food insecurity to the community that results to poor oral health and poor growth of individual because letter A, harmful carcinogens affects health. Letter B, biodiversity provides genetic resources for all crops, livestock, and marine species harvested for food. Letter C, hazardous waste leach to the ground soil. And letter D, life-threatening diseases. Number 4, improper waste disposal includes reservoir for insect-carrying disease. Which of the following is not true? Letter A, the disease is also known as vector-borne disease. Letter B, examples of disease carried by the insects, pests, are dengue and leptospirosis. Letter C, it does not include mosquitoes and rats. And letter D, the disease they bring are life-threatening. Number 5, surface and groundwater quality concerns apply to both drinking water and recreational waters. Letter A, true. Letter B, false. Letter C, maybe. And letter D, not at all. So class, it has been a great day to all of us. We have learned something new that only proves that not even COVID-19 can stop us from learning. Keep on learning. So again, I am Teacher Ellah. Thank you so much, students, and have a blessed day.